What a nice reception. I appreciate that very much. And Caitlin, very nice introduction. It's great to be here. It's a great day today. It's a great time to continue with our revolution. Caitlin indicated that we're somewhat different than some of the other politicians, and if somebody would come from outside our campaign and come visit, these campaign events are a little bit different too, because earlier on I saw something, I said, I'll bet that never shows up in another candidate. Somebody holds up a sign and says, raw milk! There we go. And also, how many other candidates are getting the chance in the Fed? Those are nice slogans, but the real issue is our liberty, and we're bound and determined to get our liberties back again. And it is rather discouraging. In Washington, not much seems to be happening, but where the real encouragement is when you leave Washington, come out, get on the campaign trail, and meet people like you. That uplifts me, and thank you very much for being with us. I'm asked so often, why do young people seem to be interested? Well, why shouldn't young people be interested in their own freedom? One thing that's happened in the last 4 years is it's not so much that people have completely given up on the idea that the government's supposed to take care of everybody else. I don't know where they're going to get everything if everybody's being taken care of by somebody else. But I think what's happened in the last 4 years, a lot of people woke up and realized that it doesn't work anymore. How long can a housing bubble last? Eventually it bursts and the people it was supposed to help lose their houses. So people have awakened and said, look, this system isn't working very well. This monetary system doesn't work. This entitlement system enriches the rich and not the poor. And also we have a foreign policy that is deeply flawed, and most people in this country now, by a large majority, says it's time to come home. Fix them for them here. Bring them up a little bit. There we go. Try that a little bit better. All right. Now there is no doubt that there are changes coming, and there's a big difference in these last 4 years. But Washington is always the last ones to wake up. You know, where I go, we get the large crowds, and they're very concerned, of course, about the attack on personal liberties. If you mention just the National Defense Authorization Act, most people know exactly what I'm talking about. And then, of course, we've been talking a lot about the bill that they want to use to regulate the internet. The CISPA is the bill they're working on right now. Now, we were able to stop, the Stop Online Piracy Act because people rallied. But guess what? The bad news is our noise and our voices weren't quite loud enough, because they went in the House today and overwhelmingly passed that new bill called CISPA. Which means that's just one more bill we're going to have to repeal whenever we get the chance. Along with the Patriot Act, of course. Of course, the National Defense Authorization Act, that's an atrocious piece of legislation. That's the one that legalizes, with concurrence with the Congress, for the U.S. military to arrest American citizens that are only suspect, and put them arrested by the military and put them in prison, and no attorney authorized, in secrecy. That bill should be very high on the list for repeal as well. couple of weeks ago, the president renewed a bill called the Defense Production Act, which has been sitting around for a long time, and it means that in a time of national emergency, of war going on, the president has the authority, of course, to declare, a total ownership of all businesses and all financial institutions. What the president did by executive order, he added the phrase during peacetime as well. So you say, is that the law of the land? Well, not technically. If we had the good court system, it would be unconstitutional. Well, how can the president legislate like that? Only the Congress can legislate. And I am of the firm conviction that a constitutional president, if in charge, even though the executive orders would be very limited to those functions which were expressly authorized by the Constitution, I am convinced that it would be proper to be a constitutional president to use the executive order to repeal all other illegal executive orders. So we have a long way to go. The attack on civil liberties have been rather severe because it is the principle of liberty you have to deal with. So if you're dealing with your personal lives and how you want to run your life, your ownership of your own lives, as well as your economic liberty and the foreign policy and monetary policy, it really boils down to the principle of what Jefferson started off with. Our inalienable rights, our rights to our life and our liberty and the right to pursue our happiness, and it is being God-given, given to us not by our government, but by our Creator. So under those circumstances, of course, the founders made a very serious attempt to try to prevent us from drifting back into tyranny. A good document, probably one of the best, but the last 100 years, we as American citizens have been very careless. But that's what this revolution is all about, is to revive the true spirit of liberty and reverse the trends of the past 100 years, change our foreign policy, change our monetary policy, and change the spending habits and the deficits that have run us into this horrendous financial crisis.